You know that one person who somehow knows everyone's secrets? They walk into a room, and within minutes, people are sharing their life stories, their dreams, things they've never told anyone else. While everyone else struggles with small talk, they effortlessly get people to open up. I used to think they were just naturally gifted, until I discovered what was really happening. They're using subtle psychological triggers that 99% of people completely miss. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how they do it. 2 years ago, I was just like you. At parties, my conversations never went beyond, "How's work?" and "Nice weather, right?" I'd stand there, desperately searching for something to say while watching others have deep, meaningful conversations around me. Then one evening at a company event, everything changed. I met Sarah from marketing. She wasn't particularly outgoing or charismatic. She was actually quite reserved. But within minutes, I watched her do something remarkable. She turned to James, my colleague who barely spoke 3 words in team meetings, who always ate lunch alone. 10 minutes later, James was animatedly showing her photos on his phone, telling her about his secret passion for street photography. His eyes lit up with excitement. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The same James, who had worked next to me for 2 years and never mentioned anything beyond project deadlines, was now sharing his dreams of hosting a photography exhibition. As I watched this unfold, I knew I had to figure out what Sarah had done differently. After that night, I became obsessed with understanding what made Sarah different. I studied psychology books, observed hundreds of conversations, and tested different approaches. What I discovered shocked me. It wasn't about being more talkative or asking the right questions. It came down to 3 powerful psychological triggers that almost no one talks about. These techniques are so effective that once you understand them, you'll see them everywhere. The empty space technique. The first technique I call the empty space. Remember how Sarah got James to open up? She didn't flood him with questions. Instead, she created moments of complete silence. Most people rush to fill every quiet moment. They get uncomfortable and jump in with another question or comment. But Sarah did the opposite. She would make a simple observation about James's watch, then wait. The silence would stretch for 3, 4, sometimes 5 seconds. And in those moments, James felt compelled to fill that space with something real, something genuine. I tested this technique at a friend's birthday party last month. Every time someone gave me a short answer, I stayed quiet instead of asking another question. Within minutes, they were sharing stories about their childhood dreams, their biggest fears, things they hadn't told anyone else. The mirror drop method. The second technique changed everything for me. I call it the mirror drop. You see, when most people listen, they're actually just waiting for their turn to speak. They nod along, thinking about their own similar story. But here's what Sarah did differently. She completely dropped her own experiences. When James mentioned photography, she didn't say, "Oh, I love photography too." Instead, she leaned in slightly and asked about the exact moment he picked up a camera. No comparison, no similar story, just pure curiosity about his experience. The results were incredible. People started seeking me out at social events, telling me things they'd never shared before. They'd say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this, but," and share their deepest thoughts. The story bridge strategy. The final technique is what I call the story bridge. Most people think getting others to open up means asking deeper questions, but Sarah showed me something far more powerful. She would pick up on small details, the way someone's eyes lit up when mentioning a place, or how their voice changed discussing a hobby, and use these as bridges to their deeper stories. When James mentioned taking photos on his lunch break, she didn't ask why he liked photography. Instead, she noticed how his voice softened when he mentioned capturing strangers' candid moments. She used that emotional cue to build a bridge to what really mattered, his desire to show how beautiful ordinary moments can be. Within minutes, he was sharing his dream gallery concept, something he'd never told anyone at work. Here's something fascinating. Research shows people share their deepest secrets within the first 7 minutes of feeling truly heard. 7 minutes, that's all it takes. And here's the really interesting part. 93% of people believe they're good listeners, yet only 2% have mastered the art of creating psychological safety for others to open up. Let me show you a real interaction. Watch closely as I recreate a conversation from last week. The first time, I'll show you how most people handle it. Rushing to fill silences, sharing their own stories, missing subtle cues. Then, I'll show you the same conversation using our 3 techniques. The difference will surprise you. Picture your brain during a conversation. When someone asks you a direct question, your mind immediately goes into defense mode. But when someone creates an empty space and shows genuine curiosity, your brain releases oxytocin, the trust hormone. This is why the empty space technique works so powerfully. Let's talk about what most people do that instantly shuts down a deep connection. They hear someone mention their job and immediately fire off questions like, "How long have you worked there?" Or, "Do you like it?" These questions actually build walls instead of bridges. The key is noticing the small details people share unintentionally. When someone says, "I'm just an accountant," pay attention to that word, just. It's often a doorway to their deeper story. Watch closely as I demonstrate these techniques at a coffee shop. See how the barista starts with the usual, "How's your day?" Now, when I use the empty space technique, did you catch that slight shift in his energy? Within 30 seconds, he's telling me about his dream of opening a jazz cafe. This happens every single time. Remember how we talked about dropping the mirror? Keep your eyes on this next interaction. The moment I stop relating with my own stories, people naturally lean in closer. They feel the difference, even if they can't explain why. Let's bring it all together. We covered the empty space technique, using strategic silence to create openings for real connection. Then, the mirror drop method, completely letting go of your own similar experiences. Finally, the story bridge strategy, using emotional cues to reach deeper stories. Here's your challenge for today. Try the empty space technique with just one person. Next time someone gives you a short answer, wait 5 seconds instead of asking another question. Just 5 seconds. You'll be amazed at what people will share. If you found these psychology secrets helpful, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these techniques. Subscribe to learn more hidden triggers that make people naturally want to open up to you. Next week, I'm sharing the exact words that make anyone feel instantly understood. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.